Would you believe me if I told you inside your pantry right now is one of the healthiest foods on the planet? Yep, it's true, and it's not some weird trendy superfood. Spoiler alert, it's olive oil. Besides helping you look younger on the outside, it's a fantastic tool for your insides as well. According to Dr. Stephen Gundry, a famous cardiothoracic surgeon, nutrition expert, and health advocate, you should get as much high-quality olive oil into your daily routine as possible. But what kind of olive oil is best for your health? Unfortunately, they're not all made with the consumer in mind, but some olive oils are so powerful it may only take a few tablespoons a week to see these incredible health benefits. Dr. Gundry has decided to take a stand and release his personal research and findings. This video has gone viral since its release, and it's important you see it so you can start benefiting immediately. You can watch the video right now by going to getolive1.com/inspired or by clicking the link in the description box down below. That's getolive1.com/inspired or just click on the link in the description down below. Hey, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers, it's John Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another Inspired live stream. It is Thursday, April 25th, 2024. We're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free. Dog Jagger here wants to join us. I want to welcome you all in a live chat. It's so good to see you. I see Carol is in here, Talia is in here, Pascal is in here, Jennifer, J. Fraj, Katrina, Jewel Moon. Let me see who else. Rob is here. Hey Rob, how's it going? Little Light Warrior. Oh my God, so many original tribesters here and new ones. Aaron, Barbara, wonderful to see you. Listen, we're going to take a break today, technically a break from the end of religion as we know it from the series. We're going to probably continue tomorrow, and in some respect we're going to continue today. But there were a lot of strong reactions, a lot of emails, a lot of messages, a lot. And I wanted to address that. I also wanted to say something that I have had to say quite a lot in my life. And I want to explain what that really means. And that is, I was wrong. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I've said this to my wife. I mean, all you husbands out there know this plenty of times. And I've said it to my children and I've said it to other people. But saying it to somebody else probably was never as challenging as saying it in some regards to myself. And to say to yourself, I'm sorry I was wrong about things that you built your life on, about facts, truths that you build your life on, and realize that they weren't facts after all. They weren't truths after all. They were deceptions, lies that you believed. That's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do when you're 20 or 25 or 30, 35, I don't know, 40. But it certainly isn't an easy thing to do when you're 70 and you're 75, 80 years old and you've lived a full life. And it wasn't a bad life. And it wasn't like it was all wrong. But if we find out on this journey that we're on, if we find out that certain things simply were not what we thought they were, and we're finding that out more and more and more every day, that is a painful thing. And I don't want to make light of it. And especially as we're going into this most controversial subject in human history, over which the most people have been killed, have died, committed crimes, and in the name of religion, some of the most wonderful things were done too. And that all I want to honor and acknowledge, but not stop discovering the truth. And I don't claim to have it. All I claim is that I'm on a journey. And we had a dinner not too long ago with someone we're going to introduce to you on this channel, and he's a best-selling author. He's very, very well known in his field and beyond. And it was a really fun dinner. Time just flew. We were there for 3 hours just talking, and it was a very nice night. But he said something that stuck with me. He said, in this life, you have to choose your cosmology and then live by it. That's all you can do. And basically, what he said is you have to choose your belief system and then you have to live by it. Because if you don't, you have nothing. And that's my interpretation. He only said the part about cosmology. And I thought it was interesting because I asked myself, what is my cosmology in this life? And I noticed my cosmology is seeking truth. That's all there is. I don't really I've had many other beliefs over the years, and almost all of them are gone. Because a belief can be helpful, but it can be detrimental. Just like a program, which is the foundation for a belief. And programs, believe it or not, we only think about today because we're so in this mode of deprogramming and really learning about what enslaved us, that we think inherently programs are bad. But let me give you a visual on that. Most of you are either still in your professional life, or you're retired, or but you know what it means to go about a life that starts at 6 in the morning and you have so many tasks to fulfill that particular day till you go to bed. Imagine if you had to consciously think about every little thing you do, from tying your shoelaces, brushing your teeth, making coffee, all the little things, the thousands of little things we do in each day. Imagine if you had to think about every step consciously. You couldn't possibly get like a tenth of that done, a hundredth of that. So we have programs. So we train something and it sinks into our subconscious, and our subconscious just does it while we think about other things or have a conversation. How many of you, I've talked about this on Locals today, how many of you have lost 10, 20 miles on the interstate where you just drive, and next thing you know, you're back in your conscious state and you think, what just happened? I lost 10, 20 miles. I was in my thoughts. Yet your body drove, your feet pushed the pedals, your hands were on a steering wheel, you were braking, you were merging, everything you needed to do. But it was done by a program. So programs are not inherently good or bad. They can serve us. What is problematic is that most of those programs that we hold, we didn't consciously examine or even choose. We just absorb them through life. And some of them serve us greatly, and some of them don't serve us at all. And one of these huge programs is religion, and it seeps into every area of our life because it's the foundation. In many ways, religions are the foundation for everything that we live. And so when you start talking about religion in a different manner than people were trained to see it, or when you start analyzing things in a different way, or when you start pulling them apart and go, let's look deeper here, you're not just analyzing a text or a book. You're analyzing the fabric of people's life and what they build their lives on. And I respect that deeply. I don't want to take a bulldozer and tear it down. That's not what this is, what we're wanting to do. We're simply following perspectives and seeking truth. And sometimes we're wrong. And sometimes theories that we have might be wrong, of course. I have no problem with saying, I'm sorry, I was wrong. And over time, I've learned to say this to myself more than anyone else and say, dude, you were wrong. It's a freeing thing because all of a sudden it liberates us from the shackles of an old belief that wasn't true. And it gives us permission to explore what might be true. And if we are open enough, and I'm not saying be totally open, but open enough to explore different possibilities about who we are, where we came from, who created this body, for example, and where we're going, we just might find that we will have more sanity rather than less, right? This is a difficult time. This is a very difficult time. It's the most challenging time, I believe, in a very long time for the collective, because everything that was believed to be inherently true is being questioned. And most things don't stand that questioning, which means they weren't true to begin with. So I completely understand, I comprehend where many of you are coming from when you listen to me discuss, the Bible in the way that, like Mauro Bilinio, who's the author of many books and a translator of the Bible. I understand that you feel the need to defend what you learned, defend what you believe in, and that you feel the need to show up for Jesus and show up for the truth as you see it. I don't want to make it seem as if you're wrong, because that's not for me to say. I can only say what I'm discovering. I can only share that with you. And you are you're your own being, you're your own master, if you will. And you have to decide what you do with what you hear here. That's really up to you. I respect anyone and everyone who isn't harming others. I can vibe with any belief system as long as that doesn't lead to actions that harm others, right? Then I'm totally fine, because I'm not here to dictate truth to you. We all are on a journey. So that's really important for me. But when I see um how much uniting was happening when we had to unite for freedom a few years ago, how that brought us together. Only one thing, and that was freedom. All we wanted was freedom. Together, we were uniting for that, and we were doing everything we could to promote freedom. And that was a beautiful thing. It transcended our religious beliefs, our racial backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, our income brackets, our professions. It transcended everything. And that was a beautiful time in that respect, of course. In many others, no, but in that respect, it was. And if we can find that same common intention for truth, because for me, truth equals freedom. Truth equals life, equals freedom, equals love. It equals, for me, everything. And we are ignoring the truths that we can see definitively, and we're fighting over the truths that we can't see definitively. And I think that fighting part simply doesn't suit the cause. I don't want to fight with you. I don't want to persuade you that you're wrong and I'm right. Not at all. All I'm saying is, here's what I'm finding. Here's what I've been seeing, and here's what others have found. And in that, I have to, for example, and I shared this again. This is a lot for those of you who are with us on Locals. This is a lot of the things I talked about earlier this morning. But for example, in the past few years, I've had a very, very hard time finishing books. Not because I can't focus or because I don't love to read, but because the more I am calibrated to the seeking of truth, the more I can feel if a book is written based on a lot of falsehoods, if the intentions of the author weren't honest. And that leads me to put down a lot of books after page 50, 70, 100, 200, because I just can't. I don't feel the integrity in it. And if I don't feel the integrity, what's the point? So that's kind of what I call spirit guiding me, right? So then when I do pick up certain books and I feel the integrity and the honesty, it doesn't mean that what's in the book must be completely true. What it mainly means to me is that the author had an honest approach and was writing with integrity about what he or she discovered. Now that, to me, that pulls me in if I feel that level of integrity. Same with videos or movies or documentaries. And so then that's what I pay attention to, and that's what I read, and that's why we're discussing this book in the series, The Naked Bible. It's only one book, and we're going to discuss other people's works too. But this connection to spirit, to me, is a very important compass. And so I think we are inherently spiritual beings, right? I think we exist before we come here. We exist after we leave here. So we're not this body. And if we're not this body, we're something that cannot be seen. But in my findings is infinite. And that's the part that I've so far discovered. The more that people connect to that part, that infinite spirit part, the more harmonious and unifying and loving their life becomes, and their communication with others, and their ability to respect others. Because we then realize that if I'm spirit and you're spirit, well, we come from the same source. And that, again, with the religious programming, that almost, it sounds like blasphemy when I say that, when I say we have divinity within us. And I want to quote Greg Braden, who beautifully says what divinity is according to its definition. It's our ability to transcend our perceived limitations. That's what divinity is. I think that's a beautiful translation, a beautiful definition. But I certainly know in my spirit, in my heart, that there is a prime designer, a creator, an entity that created everything, because it's so intelligent, it's so um, complex and beautiful. It can't be an act of happenstance. So if that creator created me and you, we must have that divine spark within us. And to quote another author, Dr. Wayne Dyer, the late Wayne Dyer, I love that quote when he used it. He said, if you cut a piece, if you take an apple pie and you cut a piece of apple pie, and you take that piece and you drive with it for 1,000 miles, it is still apple pie, no matter how far away from the rest of the pie it is. Even just a minuscule piece of that pie is still apple pie. It's still a part of it. And the same way, we're still divine sparks, even though we've distanced ourselves in our lifestyle, in our beliefs, in our thinking. A lot of us have distanced ourselves so far, but we can reclaim that at any point in time that we wish to. For me, and that's my journey, discovering the delusions, the programming, and the deceptions that I was under has now become liberating. It used to be painful. I used to have a hard time detaching from those belief systems. I used to cling on to them because they gave me security and safety. They provided something for me that I thought I needed. But the more I centered myself in spirit, in this most truthful part of me, the easier it is to detach from that, the easier it is to see things for what they are. Now, there are things that I can prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that are objective truths in our reality. If Christine and I, we planted, and when I say we planted, she planted. I dug a few holes, but Christine earlier this spring planted strawberry seeds. Now, yesterday and the day before, we were picking up a few strawberries, and we picked them and we ate them. In my life, I have never seen a peach grow from a strawberry seed. So every single time, without fail, if you plant a strawberry seed under the right conditions, you don't plant it on concrete, you plant it in the soil. And when you do that under the right conditions, that seed will produce strawberries every single time. It won't produce anything else, right? Same with an acorn, it will produce an oak tree. And same with any other seed, it will produce exactly what it was, what the information that it entails. It will always bring about that and nothing else. When a man and a woman that are healthy come together in love, and unfortunately even not in love, but they produce new life. That is the natural consequence of the union. Every single time under the right conditions. Again, if they're not healthy and if it's not the right time, then no. Those are universal truth. Fire burns. You give fire fuel and it burns every single time. It won't just stop burning, right? There are objective truths that we can find, albeit there's not a lot of them, to be honest. everything that was man-made, everything that man had a hand in, it's not as easy. It's not as easy to find truth and deception. And so for all these man-made constructs, we're most certainly using the process of elimination, most of us, where we find out what the truth isn't, right? And about so many events, it's much easier to find out what the truth isn't than to actually find out what the truth is. All these many trails, they just show us this is not the truth, this is not the truth. So we can pretty much say about any major event in our history that the way that it was presented to us usually is not the truth. That's not hard to do. But to figure out what the actual truth is much, much harder because it's hidden and it's oftentimes encoded. And I feel that the only way to come closer to that truth is to be connected to the truest part of ourselves, which is spirit, which seems to be the same as truth, by the way. It seems to me that really, if you're really in the spirit, you cannot be deceived. And for this, we have to give ourselves permission to see through our own programming and deprogram. Now, if you listen to someone like our dear friend Kathy O'Brien, many of you know her story. She is an MK Ultra survivor. She was under the worst kind of mind control pretty much from birth up until her late 20s, early 30s. And if she managed to deprogram from this most heavy programming that a human can undergo and live a life that is full of spirit and joy and love, then we certainly can too. And this is the journey that we're on, is to deprogram from all the mind control. And you can leave stones unturned if that's what you wish. It's your prerogative. That's your choice. I choose not to. And I choose to not stop at what people call the holy book, the gospel, the truth, the word of God. I choose not to stop there and turn that stone, because guess what? If everything that our current versions of the Bible, for example, say is true, then it will stand the test of scrutiny. It will stand our questioning. It must stand. The truth must ultimately stand the test of questioning it. And certain things don't, and certain things do. So as adults, I feel like it's okay to say to ourselves, I'm sorry I was wrong about this. Doesn't mean I was wrong about everything. And then come to a different conclusion, or at least go on a different path. And we can do that without attacking each other and respecting that people are on a different journey, on a different level of awakening, at a different pace. And that at a different level, you see things differently. And you could, this is sort of what in the occult societies is called initiation process. And as much as we despise a lot of this occult stuff, there are some things that hold true even beyond the occult. You could get the book of truth that would, let's say, give you the 100% true story of everything. And you could read it but not comprehend it, because only to the level that your consciousness is ready for it can you really perceive it on a deep level. Otherwise, you would just read letters on a page. And so awakening is not one thing. It's not, oh, I woke up. No, we're all waking up. We're all continually waking up. We're not there. We're not there. Trust me, we're not there. Trust me on this. Some people are closer and some people are still a little further away, but who's to judge, right? I don't want to judge. I just want to say that we can only see as far as our current level of consciousness allows us. So raising our consciousness must be a prerogative for us. It must be something very important, because the more we raise it, the better we can see truth. The better we can see truth, the better our choices become. The more honest we are with ourselves and with the world around us. And this system is not conducive to the truth. Very often it chooses, and the people in it choose convenience, convention over truth. They say, well, yes, we were, this is actually the truth, but this would hurt the system. It would hurt the very foundation of what allows me to make a living, so I choose not to see it. Nothing more common than doctors who will do that, and the medical system, for example, that will do that. And I know this, very intimately because of our experience where we, and especially Christine has worked with doctors, a lot of doctors as clients that she was counseling, and the doctors were telling her repeatedly that they have to follow a protocol, that insurance companies dictate to them and to the hospital what they can and cannot do, what they must do, even though they know it's not truthful, it's not the right thing to do, it's not what they should do, and oftentimes it doesn't reveal the truth, but they have to do it anyway. So that is a classic example of the system is chosen over the truth. The paycheck is chosen over the truth. And this goes for all aspects of society. How many priests, how many preachers, how many scholars might have seen the good book in a different light, but they choose the convention and what is conventional over what they actually believe the truth to be. So I simply don't want to stand for that in my life. I've heard these excuses all my life since I was a child, because I asked people, why are you doing it like that? This is not the truth. And people will tell you, adults will tell you when you're a child, that sometimes you have to lie. Sometimes you have to do things differently. Sometimes you, and I thought, but who are you lying to? You're lying to yourself. So you know it's not the truth. The other person knows it's not the truth, but you both pretend that it's the truth. And I feel we're at the end of that in our collective experience. We're it's not the definitive end, but we're in the end period of where that flies, where that works. I feel like people that don't want to live the truth are beginning to die, literally leaving this physical experience. And I think we're coming to that. We're coming to that point where life equals truth. And if we do not want that and want to go into deception, we won't be able to have that life. And I think it's a matter of frequency and consciousness that dictates that. As David Icke and many others have predicted in the last century and last millennium, come to think of it, they said we're going to go through this, or we're going to experience this time called, or he called it, truth vibrations, where no matter what people try to do to hide it, to conceal it, to deceive others, the truth comes out. And that's what's happening. And so I have no problem, again, with saying, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I have no problem with saying this to myself and realizing, man, I got it wrong. It's funny. I had a very humbling experience almost 20 years ago now. I read a book, and that book, for the first time, in some ways explained the concept of co-creation to me in a way that I really, it clicked for me, like how powerful we are in co-creation and how we do create the life that we experience in many ways. And I thought, that's it. That's all I needed to know. There's nothing more for me to learn. That is the holy grail. And it wasn't even cocky. It was just it was so naive in many ways. And life immediately presented a greater truth to me, that there was a lot more to learn. And I just realized that never ends. We never quit learning. We never quit exploring. We never quit examining and broaden our horizons. And yet we know so little. There's so little we know definitively. And that is okay. I think as long as we're walking towards that true north on our truth compass, I think we're good. I think that's all you can do. That's all we can do, is walk towards that. So as we will continue to do our work, which is not very popular, by the way, if Christine and I would sit down and choose the topics that are popular and choose the way we present them, we would come to a very different conclusion. Because here's what's popular. In our community, it's really popular to point to huge conspiracies, um, then assign those conspiracies to these dark forces, criticize them a lot for what they're doing and how they're deceiving humanity, and making it seem like unless they stop and unless somebody fixes something somewhere, nothing will get better. That leaves that sort of it takes us out of the responsibility, right? It removes the responsibility from us and it puts it on the people who are or the entities who are doing these dark things. And that is popular because it means me as a speaker and you as a viewer, we're not really involved. We're not really there's nothing we can really do about it. And especially when you sensationalize it, and then you're very popular because people naturally would love to think that it's all the others' fault, and we don't have much responsibility in this. But the truth is, in my perception, we do. We're responsible for our lives and how our lives unfold. And even though we've been hurt, and even though others have sometimes committed very, very bad things and have hurt us very badly, some more than others, even though they did this, we are responsible for the healing. We're responsible for our life from here on out. We're responsible for making our lives better and in turn making everyone else's life better by being better. And that means full 100% personal responsibility. And that's what people do not want to hear. Most people don't, because they feel powerless, because they've been told that they have no power. They've been told they're little. Their religion taught them they're full of sin. I'm sorry. Their religion taught them that they have original sin, that there's only so far they can go. And that if they don't follow Jesus, then there's no hope. And I simply see it a little different. If I look at what we have learned about the life of Christ, and that might again be different from the truth, we don't know, but let's just take the story that almost everybody knows, all the good deeds, all of that. I would much rather strive to live a Christ-like life than to follow Christ. Because following doesn't mean doing or assuming the same or expecting the same things of ourselves. And that to me is a very different approach, but that's just me. I don't want to say that's right or wrong. That's just how I view it. I'd rather strive to live a life by these standards. Goodwill. Goodwill, help, be kind, real kindness. Seek to support where you can. Be forgiving when you can. I mean, those are all very, very redeeming qualities. And so it's not an easy journey, my friends, for none of us, right? Because when you realize that pretty much everything is fake, pretty much, or at least it was very much turned upside down, then we find ourselves in a position where we need to recreate what truth might be. And we have this responsibility to bring something about that is better, something about that will serve everyone. And we can only do that if we discover the truth, if we heal, and if we come from that wholesome place again. That's where we stand. That's what we seek to do. That's in so many ways what our message is about. And it means to empower yourself again, to remember who you are and what you're capable of, and that you are the one you've been waiting for, and that the greatest well of knowledge and wisdom and truth might not be somewhere out there. It might be deep within. And that we might have this inner technology that you could call it technology, that I call spirit, that can tap into a field beyond this simulation, beyond the artificial world, into a field that holds all information, all truth, all knowledge, all wisdom. And that we can, if we purify ourselves enough, truly tap into that. I'm not saying I'm there. I'm not saying this is my quest. This is what I seek to do. And some days I fall really short. Some days I fall a little less short, but I do fall short. But that's I think if you took all the books of the world, they wouldn't contain even a small fraction of the information, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the truth that is in that field. Good news is I'm pretty certain it exists, and I'm pretty certain we're tapping into it at times, and we can become much better at it, and it can become normal again for us. So that's the journey, and sometimes that journey takes us to very unusual places. This is what we seek to do, and hopefully inspire people to empower themselves. I'm not a guru. I'm not on a pedestal. I'm not a preacher. I don't pretend that I am better or anything higher than you are. By no means. That's just what we feel our task is, our purpose is. And that's what we're going to show up for. So I think tomorrow we're going to continue with the series, The End of Religion as We Know It. And I want to continue in a respectful tone and not trying to push anyone away from their beliefs, simply offering perspectives that might not have been seen before in that way, or might not have been so accessible to the public before. All right, my friends. Much love. Many blessings. Oh, I have to share this with you. I have to pull up this beautiful comment. So a couple days ago, we shared about I'm going to put on my glasses for this. A couple days ago, we shared about the new way that this beautiful service FLFE works, that creates a field of high consciousness. And so I want to read to you a comment by Conscious Writer, and I don't know what's at the end of that handle, but she wrote, "I've got one for you, a success story. I fought cockroaches for 3 years in this little place when I bought it. It was infested. I caulked every crack. I bought baits and replaced them religiously every 3 months because the roaches returned every few weeks or so. I was beside myself because I'm a clean freak, you and me both. I got the service, the FLFE service, for my property in November, and I had not seen a single roach or evidence of roaches since. It prompted me to do a little research on roaches, and I'm convinced that it's because roaches are low vibrational insects and they can't tolerate the higher vibe." That's a good observation. "I haven't even seen any outside on my property, but I now have bird nests all around my little yard and on the corner of my roof, as well as an abundance of bees and butterflies." That's so wonderful. "I absolutely feel a huge difference in my home, and when people enter, they always mention how beautiful it feels. They use the word feels. I will say that they're not joking about drinking more water, lol, because the FLFE folks always tell you when you get on their service, when you do your free trial, hydrate. You have to drink a lot of water for this field to correspond effectively with your body and yourself. But I have filtered water and drink at least a gallon a day. Coincidentally, or maybe not," she writes, "I'm about to move to a new house in the town I really wanted to move to. I will absolutely transfer my service to my new house when I do. To anyone on the fence about trying FLFE, you literally have nothing to lose except for maybe a few cockroaches." Lol. I love that comment. Thank you so much, Conscious Writer. Um, I just wanted to share this. It made me chuckle this morning. It's so beautiful. If you haven't yet, and if you want to try out the FLFE service, high consciousness field in your home, it's not AI, it's not a device, not a download, not a pill, nothing like that. It's quantum technology, works with the principles, Tesla principles, quantum entanglement. It's a spiritual technology. The link's in the video description, and you can get a 2-week free trial, no credit card needed. Just a gift from the founders, no subscription created, nothing like that. Just try it out. You have nothing to lose, trust me. So thank you again, Conscious Writer, for this beautiful comment. Thank you all for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll be back with you again very, very soon.